G'day, how are you?
Good, mate. That's really weird, isn't it? I'm watching you on TV and end up chatting to you on the phone.
Doesn't happen every day, I suppose.
That's really... No, that's great. It's really, really nice to speak to you, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Now, I record these conversations. You okay with that?
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit there, bud.
I record these conversations for our YouTube channel. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, sure. Hopefully I can help.
Yeah, no worries. So, you've had a sighting in Victoria?
Yeah, are you familiar with Callisto at all?
No, I'm not, mate. Whereabouts is it?
Oh, it's a small town just past Belgrave.
Okay, yeah.
It's quite a rare special area in the fact that it's one of the very few pockets of southern rainforest.
Okay.
So it's quite a small area, but it's in the hills, which are called the Dandenongs.
Yeah, I know the Dandenongs reasonably well.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of in up around that area.
Excellent. Now, how long ago did you have the
It's
sighting?
Somewhere between 10 and 12 years.
Okay. Yeah.
I lived there for quite a while, and I used to do quite a lot of bushwalks and forest walks.
Yep. And what time of year was it roughly? Do you recall? Was it summer or winter or?
That I couldn't tell you. It was such a long time ago. I remember it was a nice day, so
Yep.
it wouldn't have been winter. Yeah, I really can't remember.
Okay. So what happened exactly anyway?
Well, basically just walking from my house to the local milk bar, which was a longer forest track.
Yep.
And out the corner of my eye, only 2 or 3 meters away.
Yep.
From me, I seen the back half of an animal just going into the bushes, and it was a golden tan.
Yep.
And had a very, very thick base tail, tapering, very stiff, rigid tail.
Yep.
I'm familiar with wallabies in the area, so 100% it was not a wallaby. I've seen thousands of them.
Yep.
It wasn't a dog. And it was kind of like not walking, but kind of trotting.
Okay.
Skipping, maybe.
Skipping with the back feet sort of thing.
Yeah. And basically, the same second I saw it, it was gone. There was obviously, just to mention, there was no drugs or alcohol involved.
Sure, fair enough.
There was definitely an animal in front of me.
Yeah.
And basically, because what I was looking at, I was completely unfamiliar with. It didn't register in my brain as anything.
Right.
I was really perplexed and bewildered about it, and it literally took me a few days of thinking about it over and over again.
Before you came to terms with it.
And I came to the conclusion it had to be. Yeah. Because, I kept going over it in my head. It wasn't a dog, wasn't a wallaby. There's no other animal it could have been to me except a thylacine.
Now, I know you only got a fleeting glimpse of it, but if you had to compare it to the size of a dog, what sort of dog would you say it was roughly in size?
In size, like a border collie.
Okay, so it was a half reasonable size.
Yeah, 1.5 foot.
As in height?
I'm just 1.5 foot high from the ground to the top of the back.
Yep, about 18 inches high, yep. And
yeah, like a small collie dog.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yep. What time of day was it roughly? Do you recall that?
At a rough guess, about 11 o'clock-ish.
Yep, in the morning.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I really can't remember.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
It was over 10 years ago, but just at a rough guess, I think it would have been around 11 o'clock.
Yep, fair enough. Have you heard of any other sightings of unusual animals like that in the area before or after?
I've heard of, this might be sidetracking to what you want to hear, but I have heard people and have seen panthers.
Yep.
A panther.
Yep, big cats.
And yeah, it's hard to say this sort of stuff because you get so much, as you probably know yourself, you get so much ridicule when you mention these types of things.
Sure, it depends
So
on the
it's not
forum, I
often you
suppose.
bring them up.
Yeah. I'm not the sort of person that
And
ridicules.
Yeah, not you. No, I understand you. And this is pretty out there, but I have sensed the presence of a yowie as well
Yeah, fair enough.
in the same forest. I haven't seen anything, but my partner was with me at the time too, and she's not skeptical, but a lot not as into these sorts of things, as interested as I am.
Sure.
And we heard something huge that was bipedal, and both freaked us out to the point where we got the hell out of there.
As you would.
Yeah,
I'm
but that's
a believer in yowies,
not
but it's
interested in
not
that.
something that I investigate as a rule because
Yeah,
I've got enough
I
stuff on
understand.
me plate anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man. I understand totally.
And I don't really want to run into yowies anyway, to be honest.
Nah, it's a whole different thing, isn't it?
It is. But that said, I have had an experience where something was throwing stones at us, and
Yeah.
there was nothing there to see, but there was something ditching stones at us. They kept landing near us. It was like, where the hell are they coming from? So,
Yeah, I can tell you that once when I was in Brisbane for a short time, I dived into the water and realised I dived right next to a small shark,
yeah,
and the feeling of electricity and pure fear that came over me was very similar to the feeling I had when I thought there was a yowie close to me.
yeah, right. Not a good feeling.
No, it's something we shouldn't mess with. That's all I think.
Yeah, no, that's...
Just leave them be. Leave them be.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I try to leave everything be as much as I can, but these thylacines keep leaving little telltale signs everywhere that they've been and visited, so I keep
Yeah.
pushing and pursuing these things, but yeah, look,
The area of Callista was thought of as a very sacred site by the indigenous people. They didn't actually live there. They just visited there for the sacred water and plants.
right, okay, so it was more of a ceremonial place than an inhabited place.
Yeah.
Yep, I get
And
that.
there's a few common tourist spots in the area where busloads of people come and see their cockatoos and rosellas, but there's lots of parts of the track where nobody goes as well.
Yeah, look, the Dandenongs
So
are a pretty
I actually
intense place. There's a lot of
Yeah.
sightings of a lot of strange things there for many years.
Yeah, I actually lived in the area for maybe 10 years or more.
Yep. So,
I used to do
sorry, there's a bit of a delay because
bushwalks.
I'm on voice over internet protocol
okay.
at home, so it's a bit of a shit connection, I'm
Yeah,
afraid.
that's fine.
But yeah, look, so you saw this thing from only a couple of meters away, but you only saw it for a couple of seconds as it sort of skipped into the bush and disappeared, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much the whole story.
Do you recall the colour?
Yeah, a golden tan colour.
Okay, so it was like that typical fawn colour that you see in the artwork of these things from the old days.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't see any stripes from what I recall.
Yep. No, that's fair enough. Did you
The shape of, now that I'm more familiar with thylacines because I've taken an interest over the years, the shape of the back legs and the way it moved and the tail was the biggest giveaway for me.
Yeah, okay.
It was definitely a marsupial tail.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They store fat in the base of the tail like a kangaroo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. That's a pretty good sign. That's excellent. Did you tell many people about it at the time, like your partner and stuff like that, or you pretty well keep it to
Yeah,
yourself?
I told my partner. I have mentioned it to a few people, but not many. Not many.
Yep, fair enough. Well, if you don't mind, I'll be happy to use your interview on YouTube just as another interview. I haven't mentioned your
Yeah,
name.
sure.
We've only
Yeah,
talked about the area, so um,
yeah.
you won't
No
get any
problem.
ridicule for this one.
And the wallabies. So I've seen just a handful of wallabies that were.
Mutilated.
Um, yeah, the main one that sticks in my mind was the one with its entire front of its throat removed and
Yep.
just the rest of it laying there.
Yeah, they often take the head and the heart and the lungs as well through the neck cavity.
Yeah, I wish I was more familiar with the topic at the time, because I would have obviously taken photos and documented it properly. But
Yeah.
I was quite new to the whole scene at the time, so I just thought it was very strange and something I couldn't get out of my head, and knew it wasn't quite normal.
Yes, that's the thing. It makes an impression on you. It
Yeah,
sinks
yeah,
in that you've seen
100%.
something unusual. And
Yeah,
look, that gait that you talked about, how it looked like it was skipping, that's described by virtually everybody that sees one, describes that it had a weird gait. Its locomotion
yeah,
was
yeah,
unusual.
yeah, yeah.
It's pretty much the key
There is
thing.
there is one other thing, if I can say off record.
Sure.
It, unfortunately, I'm quite embarrassed about this, and I'm extremely regretful. And it's one of the biggest regrets I've got in my life, because I'm a lover of animals and nature. Basically, I won't keep you too long.
That's all right.
In Callista, at the back of the shops where we lived in a house, under a tree,
Yeah.
there was a newborn animal. But the thing, instead of going to its aid and helping it, it was that foreign and alien to me that it freaked me out to the point of I walked away.
Okay.
But I've since looked up pictures of like the picture of an embryo thylacine in the bottle jar type thing, and it was identical to that.
So you found an out of pouch young that you didn't know what to do with, so you left and walked away, basically, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like I told you, it's one of the biggest regrets of my life, but all I can justify it with is that it was that I couldn't identify what I was looking at to the point where it freaked me out.
How big was it?
It made me feel really uneasy and really weirded out. I just couldn't. 25 to 30 centimeters.
Did it have fur?
Only a little bit. Yep, a tiny bit of hair.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was a possum, and then I'm like, no, it's not a possum. It's not a dog. I'm really. This is really hard for me to say. Like, I didn't want to tell you this because I feel so bad about it. Like, I'd never walk away from a poor little animal that needs help. You know what I mean?
Sure, I get where you're going with this. I understand what you're saying. I'm not laughing cynically. I'm just laughing because the irony is that you are one of several people that have had the opportunity to pick up physical evidence or lost physical evidence.
I
Or know of physical evidence that someone else in the family stole, or
yeah.
And it's not that I don't believe you for a second. It's just I laugh because here we go again. We got that close once again, and it just slipped through our fingers, you know. So
yeah, I know.
But anyway, that's all good, mate. That's all good.
That's why I was hesitant to tell you, because
Yeah.
it's for one, it's an amazing, unbelievable story, and obviously the second part is
You left it there.
that would have changed everything. Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind. That's just the way it goes.
But
Everything
I thought,
happens when it's meant to.
I'm talking to you on the phone. I thought I'd mention it because you're the man, and it's a story to tell.
It's an amazing story to tell, and are you happy for me to tell it since you're anonymous? That's all good. Or you want me to cut that out?
Anonymous.
Yeah, I'll keep you anonymous.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
All right, mate. No worries. That's fine. Look, nothing would surprise me. There's been a lot of there was a story that came to me that was secondhand from Victoria, but it was very believable, where they shot an adult male because it tried to attack them when they shot a deer, but there was a family of thylacines hunting the deer, and the adult male got a bit toey because the people shot the deer and then they shot it because it lunged at them and their dogs, and it went crazy, and they felt terrible that they'd killed this thing. But the female and the young came out later on from behind the bush, and then they felt really bad, so they went back the next day and it was still there, and it was injured, still dying, so they shot it, and I think they just left it there on the ground. They didn't even bury it. It was just like... But, these things happen, and I've heard stories of people thinking they're dingoes on their grazing properties and shooting them from a distance and then getting up to them and realising it's not a dingo,
Yeah.
So there's a property in New South Wales that's done that twice. So...
Yeah, right.
But,
I've got a very, very open mind. I'm a really easygoing guy. I usually sit on the fence with most topics. I don't believe or disbelieve anything,
Yeah, I try to be like that as well. I believe in this thylacine stuff so much because I've seen and heard and witnessed the same things so many times in so many different locations. I just can't help but believe they're there because I've seen them, so...
you're based in Tassie, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm from South Australia originally, though, so that's where I started looking for these things, regardless of what their SBS documentary says.
I've kind of tuned out from it now because I was chatting to you over the phone, but that's all right.
Yeah, I was looking for him in South Australia for 5 years before I moved back to Tassie and started looking for him, actually. So... because there's more sightings on the mainland than there is in Tassie every year, without fail, every year.
Yeah.
So they're definitely on the mainland.
People are just so ignorant and think they know it all, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And look, I can understand why some people need physical things to believe certain things. They need to see a dead one to believe that it was alive. But
yeah, sure.
Seeing is believing, and then when you find their big 5-toed footprints all over Australia in 5 different states, it starts to add up a bit, So if science doesn't want to come to the party, that's fine. They can sit there on their laurels and pretend they know it all, but they really don't. They just think they do. They're guessing at what's out there.
Yeah, I know.
So. All right, mate. Well, look, that's a little bit of a extra twist at the end there, so that'll keep the listeners listening for a bit longer, I think. So that's all good. It's no drama, that's for sure.
You can just say Sonny. You can just say Sonny if you like.
Yeah, no worries. All good, mate. Yeah, look, the entire area up there. I mean, AFRA was formed in the Dandenongs, the Australian Rare Fauna Research Association. That's where they were based, up at Mombolk. So, that area's got a huge history. I think it's the Sylvan Dam up there, the reservoir.
Yeah, Mombolk's like only 10 minutes from Callista.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that whole reservoir area up there, there's heaps of sightings crossing the road, and in and around that reservoir. I think they've been in that reservoir for years. They've probably always been in that reservoir, truth be known. So,
Yeah, well, there's so many areas that are not on populated tracks.
Yeah, huge tracts of land full of forests that nobody goes into. So there's lots of room for lots of things to be in there other than thylacine. So it's the
Yeah.
big cats that worry me. I don't want to bump into one of them. Thylacines I don't think are going to particularly want to eat me, but a big cat.
No, I've never thought that. Yeah, but
So
I've seen two black panthers
yeah,
in the
okay,
time.
yep. When you lived up there
But
as well.
one in Callista and one in Gembrook, which is about 20 minutes further out into the
Yeah,
farmland type area.
yeah. I've been through Gembrook. Sorry.
Mm.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
Gembrook. Yeah.
very interesting, Sonny. Thank you very much for your bit of information. It all adds colour to the puzzle, to every piece.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
That
all
was
good.
it was an honour to speak to you, Neil. Thanks for the call, mate.
Uh,
I hope that I know it didn't help much, but at least you've got
No,
more
it's
information.
look, it's just another layer to the onion, mate. Basically,
Confirmation.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. If you missed the rest of that doco, you can get it on YouTube anyway.
Yeah, well, I've just lashed out and treated ourselves to a bit of luxury and bought a new TV. So we got all the catch-up things now. We got one of those new smart TVs, so I can watch it on catch-up anytime.
Oh, beautiful. No worries. Awesome. All right, well, enjoy it.
No worries, Neil. It's nice speaking to you, mate. Best wishes, buddy.
Yeah, all the best. Thanks a lot.
See you, mate.
Ta-da.